prospects could close themselves? What if you didn't have to hard sell them onto your process and they just want to close? Well, that's exactly what I want to speak about today. Hey, this is AJ, and before I really dive into the video, I want to tell you guys a story. So just like in the previous episode, when we were learning more about sales, we stumbled upon this thing called the discovery process. And we found out that if you could gain 7 beliefs in the prospect, they are most likely going to close. 7 beliefs are problem, time, doubt, cost, and why now. Those are 2 beliefs, support, and desire. So in our discovery process, we want to build up these beliefs in our prospect through strategically asked questions. Remember from the previous episode, prospects don't think they have a problem. We can ask them questions though to bring out that problem. So you're not trying to tell your prospects you have a problem with this, you want to show them that they do. Now if you watched the last episode, you probably know what a triage is, and this is basically a higher level triage. You also might be wondering what the use case does this have, and why can't I just spew out features and benefits and the prospect will decide if he'll close or not? Well, you gotta understand that for a prospect to close, they have to have these 7 beliefs. And so if you could guarantee that they do, they're most likely going to close. For example, let me give you some examples of when the beliefs aren't prevalent of how they might object. For example, if someone says, now's not a good enough time, then you didn't get that cost/why now belief. If someone says I could do this on my own, that means the doubt belief isn't there. Now I want to go over each belief separately and sort of reverse engineer how you can implement it for yourself. Now the first belief is problem. Notice how this is step number 1 because everything else builds up on top of that. And prospects may need more qualified leads to bring in more sales or listings. That's an example with us. So what we start by doing is asking them just a very simple question to kick off the conversation. Which is, what do you think is the main problem right now? What's not working as well as it should be? Now that gives us a springboard to start a conversation. And so the whole premise of the problem belief is bring out a pain in them that shows them that they have a goal and where they are and there's a gap between that. And you have to show them this gap because most people don't believe there is a gap. And just like I mentioned, we then follow up by giving probing questions which dive deeper into that pain to show them how wide that gap is. And remember, people's ego will protect them from admitting to a fault. So if you straight up ask someone, do you have a problem? They're going to be like, no, I don't have a problem. But if you ask them these smart-based questions to bring out that problem, they'll realize it on their own and you don't have to tell them. Now, how can you do this in yachting? Well, the problem you solve is selling the yacht, so you can ask something along the lines of, why did you choose to get on a call with me today? What is it you're trying to solve? Or what is it you need done? You can also ask them, or that would be a springboard for a later conversation where you could dive deeper into their pain. Now, after you've brought up that pain and you realize that the prospect needs your help, we then go on to the other beliefs. And another one is time. This is basically how long has this been a problem. Now, for yachting, this may not apply for some people who are just trying to list because they haven't tried anything for a long enough time. However, it's an optional step, but in our process, we ask, for example, how long has this been a problem? Then we chunk down and ask them, how has it affected you? Wow, 2 years? Well, how has this affected you personally? We sort of dive deeper into it to show that bigger gap. But again, if a yacht owner is new to the market, that means they probably don't have this. But it's always better to ask just to make sure. Next, we have doubt. This one's pretty easy. We just ask 2 simple questions. What have you tried in the past to get this done? Or what have you tried in the past to solve this problem, if any? And then we follow that up by, and what do you think is stopping you from figuring this out on your own? What's in the way? And so these 2 questions build up the belief that the prospect can't solve this problem on his own. He needs a professional like you. That only is prevalent if the prospect is qualified, of course. And remember, we don't want to sell to people who can't really use our services. Now after that, we got cost. See, as a broker, you're taking 10% of the yacht's worth. So you have to show them why it is worth it and why it's worth it to do this now. So the way we do this is we ask a few simple questions. Stuff like, I'm curious, why is this so important now? Why are you trying to sell your yacht now? If we solve this problem for you, how would your life change or how would it benefit you? For yachting, these apply for the same questions. So why is selling your yacht important now? At the same time, we can ask, if we did sell your yacht in X time, how would that help you? You have to bring out the idea that now is the time to do this and they have no doubts about it, they want to move forward. Now the next belief they have to have is support. You see, us as humans, we psychologically want to conform to society and make people that we care for always happy. So if listing with you might make a spouse angry, for example, a prospect will most likely not close. So in this step, we want to make sure that doesn't happen. We ask questions like, are you the sole decision maker or will you have to speak to, let's say, a boss? Or do you have any spouse you're going to have to follow up with, or are you the sole decision maker and could decide if you want to move forward? And on top of that, if they do say that they do need to speak to their boss or their decision or spouse or anyone, then you're probably going to have to deal with that belief. There's 2 ways of going about this. First of all, you could say, well, if you were able to sell your yacht and your spouse truly knows this is what you want to do you think they'd be mad with that? If they said no, they won't, they'd probably support me. That means they have the support belief. However, if they didn't reply in a positive way, you're probably going to have to book in a second time with their spouse or their boss just to make sure that the decision goes smoothly. Last but not least, there's desire. Now, this is something I don't find that much in the yachting industry, but at the same time, it's the most important. You see, as a yacht broker, you're selling an experience, a lifestyle. And so you have to bring out the desire in your prospects. You're not selling a commodity. You're not selling the boat. Just like I mentioned, you're selling an experience and a lifestyle. So you have to understand, you have to bring out this desire. So the questions you should ask here are stuff like, what's your vision as a boat owner? 6 months down the line, where do you want to be? Or if you did sell this yacht, what's the end goal? And the reason we ask this, it might sound silly, but you want to know why they're doing this. Because the sales pitch for someone who's trying to quit the yachting industry versus someone trying to upgrade their yacht would be completely two different scenarios. And so you want to understand what the true desire is. And on top of that, you build up this desire belief in them that shows them that, yes, I do want to sell my yacht right now. And so when they are going to sign the contract, they have no second doubts. Usually when prospects have second doubts when they're listing with you is because you don't have the desire belief instilled in them. If you do, they're most likely going to close because they believe that this is exactly what I want to do and this is exactly what I should move forward with. So that's pretty much the discovery flow. Remember, your prospects have to have 7 beliefs to close: problem, time, doubt, cost, why now, support, and desire. If they're all there, your prospects will most likely close. This was AJ, and I'll see you in the next episode where we speak about sales closing and actually closing the sales after the discovery process.